Hi and welcome. My name is Michelle and I'm a certified holistic nutritionist. So today I wanted to talk to you more about how emotions are not just something that we need to deal with necessarily, especially in emotional eating. We need to look at emotional eating in a few different ways. We need to look at it from different perspectives and angles. Back in the day, sometimes you would think with emotional eating that you had to just work on your emotions. And there was no talk about the body and what was really going on, even though they were so connected. I know that's how it was for me. I felt that every time I was trying to figure out this emotional eating, I was trying to figure out my eating. And then I would try to figure out my emotions. And then I'd try to figure out my self-talk. And I didn't know how they were all connected. And I was sort of going to separate scattered sources, and there wasn't this continuous method I could look at and really understand what was happening. And over time, I had to develop and connect everything that went together in a more holistic way. And when I started putting the pieces together, it made such a huge difference. And that's what I teach clients, to really get a grasp on their emotional eating and any kind of triggers or patterns that they're using food for. But really, that's what emotional eating is using our food or using food to emotionally cope. But it's not just about our emotions. It's about what we put in our body. It's what we say to ourselves. So you really need to create a foundation for yourself. You need to get all these different pieces in place so that when you start seeing all of the parts connect in this holistic way, you really start getting results. You start getting a handle on your emotional eating. This was happening for me when I was experimenting and going through all of this. I was putting all of these pieces together, but when I really stood back and saw that I needed each piece to really fit, to really get a handle on my emotional eating. It wasn't just one little thing that got me there. It was all of these things together. So the three foundational key sort of things that you need to have in place to really move through your emotional eating really starts off with, the first one is about true nourishment. And true nourishment really is how you're feeding your body. It's how you're digesting your food. It's strategic. You're strategic about your digestion and how you're feeding your body. A lot of the times clients might think that they're really eating well and they don't know what they're doing that's maybe wrong. I don't even want to use that word. But from their viewpoint, because there's so much nutritional noise out there, it's really hard to see, is this really working for me? Is this right? How do I know this is going to help my body? And if they are eating in a certain way, they don't know how it connects to their mood. And that's where digestion really comes in, a strategic digestion, because our digestion is so linked to our mood. So it's one factor in our emotional eating. Of course, if our moods are not great, if they're off, we're going to turn to food, especially if we use food to feel better, if we're an emotional eater. So we really need to look at digestion, and we also need to be truly nourishing our body so that we know that we're managing our moods and our stress. The second key area that was really pivotal for me, and I see it for clients, is body acceptance. And it's not just body acceptance, it's the way we talk to ourselves about our body, our beliefs around it, and even just understanding our basic physiology and learning that we're so different to whatever diets are putting out there, that they're training us to be against our body, to not accept our body. And so when we really get into body acceptance and really looking at our body and almost flipping that script we've been sold for so long, and really actually seeing our bodies, how amazing our body is, what our body needs, that our energy changes throughout the month, that what we need to eat, that we might need more food, and there's nothing wrong with us, even though we've been sold this sort of dieting philosophy that says we have to eat a certain amount of calories and eat in this certain way. When we come back to body acceptance, we really start tuning into our body and accepting our body for where it's at. And that's the starting point to creating true transformation and true change, because we know what our body needs, and that if it's off for a few days, we know why. And it's not that something's wrong with us or that we're broken. And this is really where we go in and look at some of those beliefs and shift them. And the last pivotal sort of factor in emotional eating really is emotional wellness. And this is a huge one because if we're using food to cope with our emotions, that means we don't know how to be with our emotions. And it's not your fault because in our society, we're not taught how to be with our emotions. We're not taught in general in society, and most likely our parents wouldn't have known how to deal with their emotions or how to even teach us to be with our emotions. Today, there are more emotionally aware and intelligent people, but in general, we still have a long way to go. And so, of course, if you learn to use food to feel better about your emotions or were taught that, of course, that's where you're going to go. But if you're here watching this, you know that something needs to shift because that doesn't work anymore. The more you use food to cope with your emotions, you actually create more pain in your body. You're going to feel more guilty. You're going to feel more out of control. You're going to just feel more ashamed and like you're in so much shame. And I totally know how that feels because every time I would binge eat, I would feel so out of control. Every time I went out for dinner and just ate and ate and ate and felt like I was full till here, I felt really ashamed. I felt out of control. I felt really disgusted with myself. So that's what happens when we don't know how to move through our emotions. So that's a key factor, is learning how to move through your emotions. It can be as simple as journaling to what I do with clients one-on-one, which is going deeper into the body, into the somatics of the emotion to really process it at this much deeper level and to integrate it. So I want to tell you about this client that started working with me. And when she came to me, it was almost like she knew she had to look at her emotions, and she had been doing so much inner work, and she knew she needed help with getting healthy because her health was really going down. And she didn't really say, she said, no, I'm not an emotional eater. But as we've moved through and worked together, she started seeing how when she gets triggered by something and it's very emotional, she actually does go to food to feel good. She goes to food and a few other things, but she is going to the food. But if you just asked her, are you an emotional eater? She wouldn't have connected the two, and it's taken some time to connect it. And that's a really amazing thing with my program, is that you can start connecting these triggers and start seeing what's happening and working with them, and you gain so much more awareness, and you really start tuning into what you need and how to process through it. So this client, we've been working together one-on-one, so she's been able to connect that and get to the root of it. You would think in that instance, this situation that's triggering her, is she developed that pattern in that moment? No, this pattern goes back to childhood, and through our work, we've gone back and we've seen where it started. And when you really start seeing where it started, you can make different choices. You can move through your life differently. You can meet your needs. So eating to cope with emotions, even though that's what we've been doing, we're at a point where it doesn't feel good, and now we need a better way. We need a new way, and hopefully you're here and you're listening to it. There is a better way. There's a way to actually meet your needs. Your emotions are there. They're trying to talk to you about what you actually need. So if you're angry, sometimes your boundaries are being crossed, or if you're sad about something, it depends on the emotion. Sometimes you just need to feel it. Sometimes it's telling you how you need to actually change in your life. So emotions are so key and important, and there's a new way of looking at them and honoring them and having so much more compassion for yourself. So to summarize the 3 really key areas that you need to look at to move through emotional eating, and this is what I've done and with clients as well, is to really look at the true nourishment aspect of really, how do you nourish yourself? Are you digesting? Are you feeding your body to help your moods? The second step is body acceptance. What are you saying to yourself? What are your beliefs around your body? Do you understand your body and what's been sold to you in the general dieting world? And finally, the emotional wellness aspect. Did you learn how to really process your emotions and move through them, and to not use food or something else to distract you? And these 3 key areas, are super powerful and pivotal to get you connecting everything that's happening. And sometimes we need to start with a little baby step, and I have a guide that you'll see linked below, and it is What Are You Truly Hungry For? So I've talked a lot about triggers, and in this guide it's going to help you distinguish between true and emotional hunger and give you a few tips about triggers and how to start working with them. So you can download the guide below, and if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. And I look forward to sharing more with you, and I hope you have a great day.